Hey guys, it's Mrs. Massey. Tomorrow, September 6th in advisory, you will be getting a bunch of information. So today I just wanted to kind of go over what you're getting. If you don't have an advisory, don't panic. You will be able to get all of this in the guidance office. And so I just wanted to kind of quickly go through what everything is. If you have questions after that, don't hesitate to come down to the guidance office and ask me questions. But all of this information should help you get through this college process. I know it's crazy. I know there's a lot of questions. I tried to make this as user-friendly as possible, but hopefully this helps. So the first thing you're getting is a packet that looks like this. You're getting a green sheet that looks like this. I'm going to talk about this here in just a minute. And you're getting a sheet that looks kind of like this, and I will talk about this in a minute as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is this packet. The first couple pages are how to set up your Common App account. If you have this in front of you, it tells you step by step exactly what to do, what to click on, how to add things. There are screenshots for you. When you get to the section where you have to add a counselor, you need to put my name and not your A to Z counselor, or it will mess it up. If you've already started your Common App process and you accidentally put your A to Z counselor, don't worry about it. You can go in and fix that, just edit it. If you don't know how to spell my name, again, don't worry. It's in your packet. It tells you exactly how to spell my name, my email, my phone number, all of that. So make sure in your Common App that you complete that. The key ones that you need to add immediately is Beaver Creek High School, so it will link your information to us, as well as there's a part that, and it tells you where, but there's a part where you have to complete the FERPA section, and again, it tells you step by step how to do that. Otherwise, it won't let you go any further. You can always add the schools and the information later. Please make sure you give yourself plenty of time because it is a lengthy process. The second part of the packet, as you go a little bit further, it tells you how to set up your Naviance account. So Naviance is the program that we use. That's how you request your transcripts. That's also how you request your letters of recommendation. So again, it tells you step by step. The biggest thing you have to remember with Naviance is use the exact same email that you use for Common App. So a couple things about that. Do not use your school email because once you graduate, that disappears. If you have an email from when you were younger and it's like Hello Kitty, you may want to think about maybe creating a new one. This might be a good time because colleges will see that. So you want something that makes you look grown up, not something that looks like a little kid is writing it. But make sure you're using the same email that you're using for Common App and Naviance. This paper, this separate paper, there's a 6-character passcode. This is what you will need to set your Naviance account up. It's usually a mixture of numbers and letters, so just take a look at that. If for some reason you don't have one, there's a few in each class the teacher is missing. Again, do not panic. That just means Naviance did not generate it for you. Again, no big deal. When you're ready for that step, just come down to the guidance office and see either myself or Mrs. Bellamy, and we can get that set up manually for you. So don't panic. I don't want tears over this. So once you get through setting your accounts up, Common App and Naviance, again, that's the first few pages of this packet. Screenshots, it'll help you, tells you exactly how to do your letters of recommendation. You want to do that with teachers here in the building, not outside people because Naviance won't recognize it and won't upload it. The second to last page of your packet looks like this, and this is kind of what I want to go over right now. This is information over the years, tips and like suggestions that will help make this whole process a little bit smoother for you. The first part is ways to stay connected. So we have a Twitter page. There's also a Facebook page. Our Beaver Creek High School counseling webpage is a wealth of resources as well. Same with all of the counselors. We have a lot of college visits coming up. We are scheduling several of them daily, so check often. Also on Naviance, there's a list of all the reps that are coming. Again, we update it regularly. If you're interested in talking to any of them, you can sign up in the guidance office. There's a book. You can sign up and we'll give you a pass. If you have not yet been on visits, make sure you're visiting the schools. It is critical that you step foot on those campuses because that way you get a feel for could you see yourself at that school for the next 4 years, because every college is a little bit different. Some are big, some are small, some are rural, some are, whatever, you name it. So make sure you're visiting those and narrow those down to maybe 4, maybe 5 in the next couple weeks. If you aren't happy with your ACT scores, you want to retake those immediately. The colleges recommend October being the last one, especially if you have a December 1 deadline. So if you haven't taken that, make sure you're doing that. Your grades still count. You hear about the senior slump. do not fall into that, because colleges do have the right to rescind their offer. So don't buy into that myth, because grades absolutely still count. Sometimes students get waitlisted, and semester grades are what are the deciding factor. So, still try. Don't blow off your senior year. I already talked about the reps. So one thing to keep in mind when you're asking teachers for recommendation, I always think of the word act. Ask them first. Choose somebody who is going to be able to articulate and showcase your strengths, and thank them afterwards. Please don't just assume that they're going to do it. Be respectful of their time. Always be respectful. Don't wait until the very last minute and go, oh, by the way, can you write a letter? And don't just submit it on Naviance without asking them first, because the teachers have all been told they have the right to tell you no. So if you were to just submit it on Naviance and never had a conversation with the teacher, you have to realize they have the right to tell you no. So just keep that in mind. And I already mentioned, Naviance will not upload outside letters. If you have an extenuating circumstance and you just feel like, my coach has known me for 8 years and they're probably the best person to do this, come see me personally. Do not try to upload it through Naviance, because it will not allow it. So just come see me personally. Okay, so if you're applying to multiple schools, Common App is definitely your best route. Some schools do have an application through the school itself. Even though Common App takes a little bit longer, a lot of the schools that we're hearing about tend to prefer Common App, so that is definitely the recommended way to go. I'm going to stop for a second. Go back to the recommendation letters. We have these forms. These are yellow forms. They can be found in the guidance office. It's a 2-page form. You are not receiving these in advisory, but I just wanted to bring this up. This is just a form that is helpful to teachers that are writing letters for you. And it just talks about your strengths and honors and awards that maybe you've won, or leadership experience, because they may not know some of those things outside of the classroom. So this is very helpful for any teachers that are writing letters for you. Like I said, these are found in the guidance office. So I would encourage you to fill this out, make copies. So if you have 3 recommenders, give a copy to each recommender. Along those same lines, pay attention to what your college is asking. So if they are saying, we only want 2 letters of recommendation, don't send 4 because you think it'll look better for you. I've heard of colleges actually throwing applications away because students didn't follow instructions. So pay attention. If they don't want letters of recommendation, don't submit them for that school. If they only want 1, only submit 1. It's very, very important. If you're not sure, come see me, because I can tell you exactly what they're asking for. So it is very important that you are following the instructions, because they are assuming you are either adults or about to be adults at this point, and they want to know that you can follow instructions, and they are asking for specific things for a specific reason. So just keep that in mind. So some things to keep in mind and keep on hand when you are working through the Common App. Like I said, it is time consuming. Your transcripts that you received a week or so ago, list of activities that you've completed, whether that's school activities, work, outside activities, things you do with your family, whatever, responsibilities, leadership activities, or leadership roles, test scores, honors that you've maybe earned. All of those are good things to have on hand when you are completing the Common App, because you will be asked some of those questions. There are also some questions about some of your family information. So if you don't know those questions, if you have a parent or a guardian that can help you with those, that might be helpful as well. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time, because again, it does take some time. I mentioned this earlier when I was talking about the emails, but again, just to refresh your memory, do not use your school email, because it does get deactivated once you graduate. So a question always comes up about early action versus regular decision and early decision. What do all those things mean? So let me clarify that. So early decision is what's called binding. So that means if you decide, we're going to use Miami University, for instance. Let's say Miami is your dream school, you've always wanted to go there, and you mark early decision. That means if you were to get accepted, it is a legal agreement that you are going there. If you apply early action, it is not binding. Regular decision is the one that happens in the spring. My recommendation to all of you, I'm going to say this very clearly, if a school has an early action deadline, I would strongly recommend you to do early action, not early decision, but early action. Here's why. Most of the schools Sorry about that. My phone is ringing. Most of the schools base their scholarship awards on the early action deadline. So that doesn't mean you can't still apply regular decision. It means you wouldn't qualify for any of their merit or academic scholarships, or as well as some of their special programs like the honors programs or some of those types of things. Also, some of the very competitive programs like some of the engineering schools and nursing, you cannot get into if you don't apply early action. Does that mean you have to get your stuff done a little bit earlier? Yes. But my recommendation for any of the schools that you're applying to is pay attention to those early action deadlines and get your stuff in time for those so you can have, plus it impacts your financial aid award, all of that. So even though it's a little bit more of a headache, I would go ahead and apply early. Some other things to think about, when you're not in school, we're not in school. So that means nobody is here to process transcripts. So just kind of a good rule of thumb. One thing we've run into is technology is great when it works, but when it doesn't, it can be a nightmare. You have to remember it's not just Beaver Creek High School that is applying, it is the entire country that is applying, actually the entire world, because international students apply. There have been times where Common App, the website itself, shuts down. So what you don't want to do is wait till the last minute. You want to watch your deadlines. So a good rule of thumb is giving yourself at least a couple of weeks ahead of time when you're submitting your transcripts. So, if we're not here, for instance, a lot of schools have a November 1 deadline. It would be a great idea to have your transcript requests in by mid-October. December 1 is another big deadline. So some of our big schools like Ohio State and some of the Cincinnati, December 1 happens to be the weekend of Thanksgiving break. I would strongly encourage each and every one of you to have your transcript requests in no later than maybe November 10th or something like that. So it gives plenty of time to process those, because nobody will be here over break to process your transcripts. Do not wait until 11 o'clock the night before and expect your transcripts to be processed, because they won't. And you run the risk of missing out on those deadlines. So that is very, very important. The other thing that the colleges always ask us to remind you is that your application is not submitted until, so when you go through the whole process, you hit review and submit. It brings you to a payment screen on Common App. You have to submit the payment, and then you have to hit submit. If you do not hit submit, your application is not complete. So even if you have requested your transcripts on our end, they kind of hang out there in cyberspace. They do not go to the college until you hit submit on the Common App. So it is crucial that you hit submit on your application. The other thing, I mentioned you're getting this green form in advisory. This is also very important. You can fill this out. Parent has to sign it. This is what we call a transcript release form. No transcripts will be sent until this is turned into the guidance office. So let me say that again, just in case you didn't hear me. No transcripts will be sent until this is turned into the guidance office. So even if you're not even ready to think about your applications or anything, go ahead and get this turned into us so we have it on file. But this is very important. So make sure this green form gets turned in. And I think that's about it. We do have a parent night coming up September 12th from 6 to 8. I would encourage your parents to attend. The information is going to be similar to what we went over in this session from 6 to 7. It's going to be a lot of like the steps to applying to college. Some of it's going to be geared more towards the parent side of it. But what will be different is from 7 to 8, we have an individual from Sinclair coming to talk to us about the financial aid piece. That is a big thing. October 1st, FAFSA opens. And if you don't know what that is, if you have older siblings, you probably know what that is. But if you do not, it's how you receive federal money from the government. And the very last page of the packet is how to start your FAFSA. You can't do anything with it until October 1st. But I would strongly encourage both you and your parents to attend this, because it talks about the different types of financial aid, how to go about obtaining financial aid, what special circumstances are involved, all of the things you have to report. So that is pretty much the information that you will receive in advisory. Like I said, try to have this packet in front of you when you are setting your Common App up and your Naviance account. If after that you still have questions, absolutely come see any one of us, but especially me. I have an account set up that I can walk you right through it. If you know your Common App username and login, we can pull your account up, go right into it. Please, 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 I cannot stress enough, watch your deadlines. Do not wait, because like I said, you just never know, and you run the risk of missing out on the colleges or, admission or things like that. But thanks for listening, and good luck. I know this is a scary process, but you're not alone, and we'll help you through it. Bye.